Hello, welcome. So this video is gonna be the start of my sheer foundation mini series, which I'm still kind of breaking down how I want to organize those. But in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the Makeup Forever Face and Body Foundation, the MAC Face and Body Foundation, and the Glossier Skin Tint. I love sheer foundations for everyday use, specifically sheer to light. None of that medium, get out. I have always hated the feeling of foundation on my face, and I've always had like some acne here and there, and felt like, especially when I was younger, even if I tried using a fuller coverage foundation, my skin would just look like really textured, and I hated seeing the texture more than I hated just seeing the acne there. But that's just been my experience, and I know not everyone will feel this way. But for those who are getting kind of more into sheer foundations, I felt that these three that I'm talking about here are kind of the first that are mentioned in this category. So let's get into it. So my favorite foundation of all time probably is the MAC Face and Body Foundation. This is the OG. I happen to use the shade C1. With all these sheer foundations, I think the shade is a lot more flexible because ultimately it just kind of perfects your skin and lets a lot of stuff peek through. The MAC Face and Body is a very liquidy formula, and it has the most buildability out of all three that I'm mentioning today. I think that this is the most foundation-like. I really enjoy wearing this either with a dense foundation brush or my fingers. I find that this is a formula that you do have to kind of work into your skin. It starts out really watery, then becomes a little tackier and harder to spread around, and that's kind of how you know it's setting into place. And the finish that it gives finally is super skin-like. It tones down any redness I have. It tones down the look of my like acne scars, but it doesn't ever emphasize any of the texture that I have around my active acne or like flakiness. It gives a really beautiful luminous skin-like finish, and I can't say enough good things about this. However, it is quite dewy, and I'm an oily person. I still love this foundation though, so that is saying something. In the summer, I will definitely set this down with a powder and it will kind of slip and slide away, but I don't mind when sheer foundations kind of just disappear, because I feel like they end up kind of like melting in with my face throughout the day, and it just is what it is. But at the end of the day, my skin still looks, you know, tolerable. So that's really all I can ask for, honestly. So in comparison, I think the first alternative that comes to mind for the MAC Face and Body Foundation is the Makeup Forever Water Blend Face and Body Foundation. And I had been waiting to try this for like a really long time, but I didn't really have any reason to because I loved this one. However, you can't really see, but it's getting kind of low. It's like here. And this one went on sale, so I picked it up. I have the shade Y245. I think that the amount of sheerness that one layer of each gives is really comparable. However, there are a lot of differences otherwise. For example, the texture of the Water Blend foundation is like gel-like instead of watery. It also will be kind of weird to apply because it starts out as this gel-like texture, but then kind of turns into this like really slippery, watery feeling thing. Like it almost feels cooling to the touch, and you really have to work this in. Like it'll almost feel as if the product is separating as you start to work it in, but you kind of just have to keep at it until finally it melts back together with the rest of your skin, and then you end up with this sheer coverage. I feel like this is the most finicky to work with out of these sort of sheer foundations, I find that this one I prefer to use either a brush or a beauty blender. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of spread things around and then finish off with a beauty blender. This foundation looks alarming at first. I just described how it kind of feels like it'll almost separate, and it's like kind of chunky and gel-like at first. And as you're spreading it around at first, it'll catch on to any patches you have, any areas you have, and you'll be like, what? This looks so bad. But you just have to work past that and keep blending it in. And then finally, like once you smoothed out all the bits, it's like, oh, okay, it's like, it's smooth, but it's kind of a hassle. The water blend has a pretty strong scent. It almost smells like a toned down Hollister, maybe more like a American Eagle. I haven't been to a mall in a long time though, so I might be wrong, but it's a little strong. The finish is much more matte than the face and body. It does not give any of that extra like shine and luminosity. However, it is very skin-like. So if you are someone who doesn't like that dewy look, then maybe check out the water blend. But I find that this is not very buildable at all, whereas the MAC face and body, one layer is like, it's like lovely and barely there, but you can build on this like 2-3 layers, and by the time you get to the third layer, it's like a light coverage, and it's definitely doing a lot to make you look more perfected. Whereas this, you just kind of keep working it in and keep working it in, and it's like, I don't know where it's going. It's not really going anywhere. You can really only get like sheer coverage with this one in my experience. I don't dislike this, however, I far prefer the MAC face and body. I think that the scent is a little off-putting in this bad boy, and the application method is, it works out in the end, but it's kind of like having a little panic moment as you're blending it out, and it really does highlight all the parts that it's catching, at least in my experience. So now let me move into the Glossier Skin Tint. I think a lot of people compare these two, and a lot of people compare these two, so I'm just kind of doing it all in one video, I guess. The Perfecting Skin Tint is really just that, it's a tint. And at first I didn't like it. I know I like sheer foundations, and I tried it and I was shocked by how sheer it was. Like, you almost can't see it. I think the skin tint is something that you have to put on. You don't look closely at your skin after, like don't think about how little coverage there is. But then as you go about the rest of your day, you'll catch glimpses of yourself and think like, oh, I look pretty good. That's what the skin tint does for me. When I first tried it, I didn't like it because I put it on and I was like, dang, I can't see what it's doing. It's barely anything. But the more I work with it, the more I find that it's got its place in time. I don't know if this is really worth it for the money, because this bottle is 1 fluid ounce, $26, which isn't crazy expensive, but considering that this does not go a long way at all, if you wear this every day, you will go through it pretty quickly, and I don't know if it's worth it for that. I would much rather recommend someone just using like a dot of whatever foundation they use regularly, and a dollop of whatever moisturizer they use, and you'll get the same effect that the skin tint does. However, since I have it, I have been using it, and it's been pretty nice. I smear it on, I don't have to think about it at all. It does have a bit of an oily consistency, so I didn't really like it in the summer, but now that it's winter, I just kind of like smear it on, pat it in, and it just makes my skin look like 5% nicer. And on the days when I'm not wearing any makeup at all otherwise, like I'll just pop this on after my moisturizer, it does kind of make me feel a little bit better about myself. Yeah, so I've been enjoying this, but I wouldn't recommend purchasing this in particular, because I think that you can get this effect just by mixing anything in with a moisturizer. One thing I do want to compliment though is that this dropper, I don't know what they did, but it's so much better than the MAC one. Like, you can see how grimy my MAC bottle is, whereas this Glossier one, impeccable. I don't know what like technology this is, but it's great. These formulas are not comparable at all. The only thing they have in common is that they're both not buildable at all. This is never going to give you more than a tint. It doesn't matter if you use half the bottle up on one application. It's just gonna... It's like if you took a photo and then you put like 3% blurring on it. That's kind of what it does. But it does add like a bit of luminosity and moisture to your face. However, like a moisturizer will do that too. I did want to include showing all of these products being applied to my face, but since they're all sheer products, I don't know how helpful it'll be. Some of these were taken on different days with different lighting and different amount of acne to cover, so I hope this is helpful still. Let me know. Yeah, so all in all, MAC Face and Body, love forever. I'm just gonna repurchase this when it runs out, despite having other alternatives. This is still like the cream of the crop for me. Glossier skin tint, I am happy to use this up. I like the effect that it gives, especially since I'm not really wearing makeup at all these days. It really is a good balance of like not looking like you're wearing makeup, but still tinting things to make you feel not as bad about your skin on days you're not wearing makeup, is how it is for me. Not gonna repurchase though. Wouldn't really recommend that anyone repurchase, because again, I think you can just achieve this effect from adding like a dollop of foundation into your moisturizer. This Makeup Forever Water Blend Face and Body Foundation, I was kind of let down by, not gonna lie. I was really excited. Given the fact that I have oilier skin, I thought this might be a good alternative to the MAC Face and Body, and it still can be for some, but all in all, the application process and the scent are two pretty big downticks for me, and despite it being really shiny in addition to my oiliness in the summer, I still do prefer the finish that this gives over this one, and I really appreciate that the MAC one is buildable, whereas this one really isn't. I like the versatility of the MAC one more. I'm still happy to have tried it and will definitely use it up. So that is my rundown of these three foundations. I think these are really the first three that come to mind when I start thinking about sheer foundations or looking up recommendations for them, so I thought I would share them here. I do have other products that I think compare to like one of these more or fill a certain role better, so I'll be getting into those in later videos, so stick around. I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for watching.